Mabuhay, everyone. This is Reverend Reg, and it's 7. It's actually 10 a.m. here in Manila, Philippines. So today I'm very excited because we have another Reiki master teacher who's going to share her experience as a student, as a teacher, as a student of life as well. So, here I keep sharing with everyone why I love that mabuhay phrase from the Philippines because it reminds us to go beyond existing, to make something out of our lives, and not just settle for paying the bills and just doing your own thing. Because there's really more to life than just going through the day to day things that you're dealing with, especially if it has to deal with your inner conversations and the quality of your emotions. And personally, for me, I can really say that having a Reiki practice can help you be in that space where you're cool, calm, and collected. And at the same time, another thing is that you're able to uncover some of your hidden talents and creativity. So those are just some of the things that I was able to discover after I had several Reiki sessions. And I also took a third degree level Reiki with Master Isa, the one I guested yesterday. But today, I'm very grateful because we have Angelica Roth, who's a metaphysician, Reiki master of 8 different lineages. She co founded Earth and Sky Center and teaches classes locally in Michigan and also travels throughout the United States and internationally to teach. Currently, many classes are available online. She is passionate about teaching. She enjoys writing and loves to inspire others to look within themselves for the answers they seek. Her poetry has been published in 17 countries, and she's also the first psychic to talk about psychic dreams. When she was 2 years old, she believes we are all intuitive and we have the power to heal. It is simply about honing those abilities and using them to elevate the vibration of the planet and the lives of those who are here on planet Earth. In Phoenix, Arizona, Angelica had a private practice specializing in HIV or AIDS patients and working with people with a myriad of conditions. She believes a balance of Eastern and Western medicine can create amazing results. Through the Earth and Sky Center, Angelica broadcasts live talks every Sunday morning on a wide variety of topics. Everything she shares and teaches is focused on love and helping people discover their highest potential. And you can also check out her YouTube video, which we will post later. So, good morning from my side of the globe, Angelica.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on here. I love the
Yeah,
phrase that you said right at the beginning too. Mabuhay. Is that how you say that?
yeah,
Ah,
yeah, it's mabuhay.
yeah.
So, thank you for acknowledging it because, it's amazing. There are certain things that you can't directly translate into the English language.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I want to retain a bit of my Filipino heritage and be able to share to the rest of the globe. So thank you for acknowledging it.
I love that. Yes, and it reminds me immediately. It was beautiful the way you were describing it and the way it teaches us to dig deeper and to look deeper at life. And everything in life has something that it is always teaching us too. I feel like even those situations that are really, really challenging, sometimes those are bring the greatest gifts as we see the lessons that they give us. And to be able to reach and see the greatest highs in life, we have to be willing to look deep and to see what's really around us. And those all the little moments that happen day to day. That's where some of our greatest joys come from. And Reiki definitely teaches us how to be in the moment and how to experience that and really feel life in every moment, being present, really fully present. It's a key.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Angelica. And one of the things that I particularly like about energy work is that you're able to uncover aspects of yourself that you didn't even realize was present in you to begin with. Like you discover talents and abilities that you thought you didn't have. And I love that you talked about the idea of a person being able to actually just hone their skills for healing because it's already innate.
Yeah.
And before I proceed, let me just share our live stream from my page to my personal page so that more people can see it. And
Perfect.
by the way, we're streaming here in Facebook and we're also streaming in uh, YouTube as well. So there, awesome. So yes, please talk more about how energy healing can actually help you, uncover aspects of yourself, especially your creative talents and abilities you never thought you actually had.
Yes. Yeah, that's one of my absolute favorite things is with watching my students. When I have students that come in from the Holy Fire level ones where they start, and they notice just in those 3 weeks, I teach level one over 3 weeks. And in those 3 weeks, it's this amazing discovery into themselves. And they start really seeing and feeling and understanding and recognizing that light that is within themselves. And they start recognizing that they're not alone in this world. I think a lot of people often feel that they're very alone or very separated, or they have to do this on their own. And in that level one of Reiki, you start to realize you're connected to the source of everything. All that is the amazing consciousness that creates everything is already within you. It's in each of us. And Reiki is like a key that unlocks that door so that you can start to see that. And then as I watch students progress through the level two classes, another 3 weeks, they start receiving even more of that. And they start seeing that connection with the other people in their lives, and they start being able to turn those challenges that they feel in their lives, or the challenging people maybe that they feel like they're dealing with, and they instead start looking at it and figuring out, okay, what is this teaching me? Why is this here? What can this unlock within myself so that I can create and manifest the life of my dreams? And then there's a 6-month break before they take the level, the master class or Shimpiden class. And that's a 5-week class. And it's so funny because every student, and I think this is human nature, when they hear that it's, 7 weeks to go through level 1 and 2, it often feels like, oh, can I commit my life for 7 weeks to something that just feels like a lot? And I have life that's always so busy. Everyone's always busy. And then by the time they get to the end of that last week of level 2, they can't believe that it's gone so fast and they just want more, because I think when we feel that connection within ourselves and when we let Reiki come in to open us up, to show us, really who we are and the high potential that we have, the creators and creatresses that we are within ourselves, as they start to see that, they can't wait for the Shimpiden level to come. And then because it's a 6-month break, because I really want people to integrate what they've learned and to feel it and to work with it within themselves, then by the time that Shimpiden class comes, they're thinking, wow, 5 weeks is a really long time, and 8 hours instead of 4 hours for the Shimpiden class each time. That just seems like a lot until they get in it. And then it's the same thing. It's like so much wisdom and so much joy. And my greatest joy is watching them go through this journey and watching how their relationships change and how they start getting the careers that they want. And they start,
Mm.
as artists, their creative talent blooms. And then it just gets better and better as they continue to Karuna Reiki. And then the Beyond the Masters class. I just had students graduate from my Beyond the Masters Reiki class, and watching the journey. And I always like to talk to them a little at the end of it to remember how their life was and how they were thinking before they had that first class, to really reflect and see. One of my students, I think, said it best when he was talking to somebody else about taking the Beyond the Masters class. Actually, he told him with the Karuna and the Beyond the Masters. And he said, well, because the one said, I'm not really going to be practicing Reiki. It's not like I do it on other people. Well, I do, distance work and things like that, but I'm not doing it professionally. So why would I want to take those classes? And the other student said to him, well, have you noticed every time you take a class, your life just gets a little bit better, like in all
Yeah.
aspects, right? It just, everything starts to get to this new level. It doesn't matter if you're wanting to do it professionally. It's about making your life better, that deep discovery. And that's the greatest joy with Reiki, I believe.
Thank you for sharing that, Angelica. It's such a beautiful thing because I always believe that for every level of growth, there's always a level of new awareness for you that's opening up. Because I really think, contrary to my thinking before, it's a very good thing that you mentioned it. That don't you realize that how you were thinking before and how you're thinking now after you started taking the classes,
Yes.
there's a shift in your mindset. So the circuitry that's triggered is totally different. So, for example, in practicing being grateful, as one of the Reiki teachings that Master Isa would tell us, it's very important to realize that you can be in the middle of a seemingly chaotic situation. But now, because of your tools, Reiki, for example, you're able to see the gift of the experience. And I like what you talked about earlier, where you said, what is this experience teaching me?
Yes.
Because I think in that line of thinking, you're able to discover the beauty of the situation. And at the same time, there's something about it that you mentioned, which totally resonates with me. What is this unlocking in me? So
Yes.
please talk more about it, because I realized that the more you view life as a beautiful discovery process, as a continuing discovery process, then your judgments are less, and the fun and delight in it becomes more prominent and prevalent in your life.
Yes.
So go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love that. It's like, like pushing a button and unlocking the tools, or using a key and unlocking the mysteries within yourself, because we all have the answers within ourselves already. We do life talks every week on our YouTube channel, but it's to help people raise the questions within themselves, to think about what things mean to you and how does it look for you, because all of us are on our own individual journeys. So trying to get the exact answers from somebody else isn't going to give you your own answers. So it's about figuring out what tools are there. And Reiki is what I've found in my mind to be the best tool to help you have that direct connection, so that you can just draw down this tremendous amount of light to help you unlock the answers within yourself, and to really look at life in that other way. When you mention gratitude, that's such a big key, because what we focus on is what we attract around ourselves. And so when someone is really focusing on everything in life is just so hard and it's not working and why can't I get ahead, then it's going to feel like it keeps continuing that way. But one of the ways you can shift that dynamic, bringing Reiki in and then focusing on just one thing of gratitude each day. And that's going to start expanding until you see gratitude in everything. And then you start seeing that even those challenges, even the difficult people that maybe come into your life, those are there to teach you something. And you learn how to instead just pause in those moments, turn Reiki on within yourself, because you learn within Reiki very quickly, within a millisecond, you just think of it and it begins to flow within you and it surrounds the situation. I talk a lot in my Reiki classes about keeping your intent out of it, because when we're in a situation, or when we're doing it for somebody else and we're looking at the situation, we don't know all the factors. We're here in this life to figure things out and experience things in that very earthly way. But Reiki is a source that is, an existential source that's incredible, that flows around us and through living things. And so when you leave it up to Reiki and you just pull Reiki in and you ask Reiki to help with make the situation in whatever way is best for your best and your highest good, then you're going to start seeing these answers suddenly unlock within yourself. And you're going to start feeling these connections within yourself. Your intuition is just going to start increasing and heightening. And you'll start recognizing the more you use Reiki, the more you want to use Reiki. It's quite an incredible thing. The first thing I do when I wake up in the mornings is turn on Reiki. The last thing I do before bed is turn on Reiki. When I was earlier today, I was at the hair salon, and I just kind of,
Mm.
while I was in the shampoo bowl, I started doing some distance Reiki treatments. And then when I got back to the chair, I filled the whole salon and I started envisioning it going to whoever needed it within the salon and flowing through the floor. So anybody who walks in there, if they want it, they'll receive those doses of Reiki that just kind of flows up through them. And it was so interesting because my stylist mentioned about maybe 30 or 40 minutes after I started doing it, she said, this is really amazing because I don't feel bad. It's like a little bit ago, all my pain just washed away and I feel like I'm more
Wow.
and I didn't tell her what I was doing. So it was just this great confirmation. You know, it's just like you have this ability to give love to the world. And that's the greatest joy to me is giving love to the world, helping. If I could show every person and let them know truly, wholly, deeply how much they're loved, whoever you are, whatever you've done, whatever anybody else thinks about you, it doesn't matter. Truly, you are loved. Truly, you are worthy. And Reiki knows this. And when you bring Reiki in, it helps you to know and feel that really fully within yourself.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And I love that you talked about, being able to give love and activate Reiki, because it's not something that I hear very often, especially talking about activating it. Please expand more about it, because it's the first time I heard someone frame it that way.
Ah, okay, yeah, yeah. So I see Reiki as an unconditional, amazing, limitless source of love. It's this, I've had a few near death experiences, and each time I've had that, I feel like I go to this beautiful place that's this white light. It's this big ball of white light. Everything is peaceful, everything is just unconditional love. And that's the same thing that I feel with Reiki. I feel this just amazing, incredibly intense source of love that comes down. And I feel like we're all connected. All of us are one when it really comes down to it, where this, like, we all come from this source of love. That's who we are. It's the spark that ignites our soul. And when you draw Reiki in, it's like bringing down that source of love and being able to feel that ignition that happens within the soul, and feeling that ignition that then turns your spirit on fire so that you're able to then really take in what's going on in life, and you're able to see past the differences and past the illusions that the physical world sometimes brings to us. Sometimes the physical world makes us, it's a heavy world. When we come down and we're on this planet, before we come here, when we're in that source of light and we're in all of these other realms and worlds that are on the other side, and we're deciding what do we want to do when we come to this planet, we figure out, what challenges do I want to give myself? What things do I want that will be gifts for myself? How hard do I want to have to work to get to that? And then a lot of times where we create our biggest challenges is really with our families, because when you think about it, our families are the ones that will sometimes trigger us the most, but they're also the ones that, even when they trigger us, usually we keep going back to them unless there's something really severe. And if it was
Yeah.
just a random person, we wouldn't do that. And so it's because of that challenge, that's why we choose our families to trigger us and to challenge us, so that we can grow, so we can learn where to put up healthy boundaries, where to expand that love. Because when you feel it, when you draw Reiki as an unconditional ultimate source of love into your heart, sometimes I'll see it like a white light that flows in from all directions, and then it expands like a white flame of love in the heart. And that flame moves up into the third eye and through the brain, and it helps to kind of just clear all of that, clear everything that's, really heavy out, and remind you that you are part of that spark. That's your core, that's your soul, that's your spark. And then just feel that white light flowing down through your legs and connecting down to the earth and connecting to the forest that's around you and the nature that's around you. And that then helps you to remember that you chose to be on this planet, that you want to, even though life feels really heavy sometimes, you want to be here to go through the challenges, but you have that amazing source of Reiki that's at your back and within your heart that helps you remember that you're not alone as you walk this.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And you talked about family, and when you're a person who has metaphysical interests and your family seems to be more interested in third plane issues, or just really
Yeah.
the things that are more earthly motivated, materially motivated, and that's actually for me that's okay, as long as people have the awareness that all these things actually came from the spirit idea level.
Mhm.
And please talk more about family. Did you have any experience of your own? Because personally, for me, I'm there are many factors that actually got me into energy healing, particularly Reiki and metaphysics, because one of the things that I had to go through was, how do I relate to my family better, given that I have these inclinations that are not something that my family shares. You know, you're very passionate about these things, and they're passionate about another thing. And I talked about triggers, and it's true. Most of us, we do get triggered by our family members. And, you know, if it was a stranger who actually did that, it has less impact. But when it comes to family, there's a sting. So please expand more about it, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it.
Yeah, yeah. So one of the realizations that I had recently, I was taking a course in the Kabbalah, and which is a very ancient Jewish text, so thousands of years old. And I was pondering during it. They have 10 different steps that you take in it. And as I was pondering, I was thinking about abandonment issues that I have, because that's something I've dealt with since I was a child, and just feeling that sense of loneliness and feeling a sense of abandonment, or a fear of, what if somebody doesn't like me? That was a lot of stuff that I had to go through when I was younger. And it seems like it had kind of flip flopped. And so there were points in my life where I didn't really have my father. And then there were points in my life where I didn't have my mother. And sometimes that was better that I didn't have my mother. And so I was really digging in, trying to figure out, so what is it that I need to heal within myself? And what is this teaching me? And I started really thinking about what my tikkun is. Tikkun is a word that the Kabbalists use for what your greatest challenge is, usually triggered by family. And as you overcome those tikkuns, and then you work to receive whatever the gift is as you overcome it, then you find out what your next tikkun is, because we're here to learn things. It's a physical planet that we're here to go through all of those things. But as I was pondering this specific one, I was thinking about when I was a child, and I always, since I was, as long as I can remember, I wanted everybody to know they were loved. That's just a big part of me. And I was realizing when I was younger, a lot of that motivation was coming from the feeling like I had a hole in myself and I wasn't worthy myself. And so I kept wanting to not let anybody else feel like that. So I wanted them to know that they were loved while going through all of those issues in myself. And then I realized that there was a point where I had finally actually healed that. I think I did. Sometimes these things come in layers. So you might feel like you did, and then years down the line, something pops up and triggers it again. But I think I finally healed it around 2015. And I noticed that at that point, or somewhere around then, I shifted my thinking. So instead of wanting everybody to know they're loved and to feel it, and feeling like that came from somewhere with lack within myself, somehow I felt like I am fulfilled. And it doesn't matter that I don't have a relationship with my mother. It doesn't matter that she doesn't ever reach out to me. None of that really matters. Those issues are her issues. And I know that I came here to learn certain things from her. And part of that is a lesson of letting go as well. And I realized at whatever point that was, that had finally healed, my dynamic with my students has changed, because I feel so completely fulfilled within myself with this light of love, and with the light of Reiki, and with whoever the people are that are around me. And if some of them go, that is fine too, because I see the transient nature of this planet. But when that healed, the source of it, when I feel fulfilled within myself, the source of love that comes out, it's hard to explain, but it's a different type of love, in that it just feels like it is more of a core connection with that source energy that I feel like is just being offered to those that are around me, without a fear of what if they leave, or or something like that.
Yeah.
It's, yeah,
Thank
yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Angelica. It's such a beautiful thing that you talked about Kabbalah and the Tikkun thing, because actually I also learned that from a friend, and I took a class on it. And one of the things that I was thinking, because I'm also attending spiritual classes with Unity Philippine Spiritual Center,
Mm,
and the classes are also taught in Unity in the States. So, one of the things that really got me thinking was because in Reiki, we talk about the seven chakras or the energy centers. And for the sake of our viewers, if this is the first time you're hearing what the energy centers are about, every energy center is a point of power, a point of reference, and it does reflect the quality of what's happening in different areas of your life. So, for instance, we know that in the base center, this is our feeling supported by the universe, especially for material provision and whatever it is that needs uh, to be fulfilled in that aspect. So I want to relate this to it because one of the most amazing things, Angelica, that I realized, like you mentioned, as you keep growing and expanding your awareness, you're also expanding your capacity to demonstrate and to experience life more fully. I was thinking because I'm not sure how you experienced it, but there was a time for me when I was learning about just stay put and allow that life experience to pass. And then you know that it's actually going to end that particular cycle.
yes, you have
But
to feel
then,
it.
yeah. And there's also a teaching in one of my spiritual community where they were saying, you know what, God doesn't desire you to suffer or to be challenged. So if you say no to the experience, then the experience will not actually fully express itself.
Hmm.
So apparently, what they were teaching us is that Jesus Christ, as one of the ascended masters, also taught that you don't have to suffer unnecessarily. All you have to do is to say no to the situation
Mhm.
and then claim your power over the situation. So please talk more about it because I think most often than not, what happens to us, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people were very vulnerable to the collective energy, which was driven by fear, lack, and doubt.
Mhm.
And with the teachings on learning how to say no to the intimidation of the experience, then you're also able to claim your power over circumstances.
Mhm.
I'm sure you'll have an idea about it because you've studied a lot.
Mhm.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah. So that's a really good point that you made with that. And when we open ourselves, when we open, sometimes I refer to the body as the vessel. You probably heard that a lot in the Kabbalah class too. But when you open your vessel just to receive the light, or to receive the light of Reiki, or to receive the light of the universe, as you open your vessel, your capacity increases to have more light within yourself, to claim what you want. And a big part of it is being able to be present, learning how not to flee and not to fight, but just to be simply present, just to pause, to be in the situation and to call in the light and to remember that you are the creator of your life. Whether it's good or bad or whatever it is, you're creating it. You're creating it with your thoughts. And sometimes people will get a little bit upset if it's one of the first times they're hearing it, or they're feeling like they're trapped with other things around them. But when you recognize that you aren't really trapped, that when you change your mind, you change your reality, you change your perspective, you change your thoughts, you focus on gratitude is a really simple and easy way to start that shift along with Reiki. And you start seeing that those things change around you. One of the things that also really helps, you mentioned the chakras and being in the lower chakras. A lot of times in metaphysics, people will start to climb up into the upper chakras because those can be really fun chakras. You have the third eye that is all of your intuition, and the crown, which connects directly to the divine, and the heart chakra, which in metaphysics, we're all really into love usually. So when we are in the throat chakra helps you communicate, just a kind of bring all those in. But when you're just in those and you're not in the lower chakras, you start to lose your ability to manifest because you're not wanting to be present in the body. And it's very important to find gratitude for being in this life, in this body. I have had a lot of experiences throughout my life. I had a sickness where I was basically bedridden for about 8 years with lupus and fibromyalgia and a bunch of other things that happened during that. I had a lot of other situations, being raped, all kinds of things. So I understand what different struggles are. I understand what, from an early age on. But it's when you learn that you can see those struggles and you go, you know what? I chose this. I might have not consciously chosen this now because obviously it's not what I want. But on some level, whether it was before we got here or in some level where we created it here, when you recognize that, you pull your power back into yourself. So it's not a situation that's being done to you. It's not a situation that you have to endure and just be afraid of what's the next situation that's going to come. But you start to realize, I'm a co-creator in this, and I can be in the present moment, and I can call this amazing source of Reiki in to help me open my perspective and to help me expand my vessel, to draw the light in, to create what I want. And suddenly you're in the driver's seat again. And it doesn't mean you're not going to have challenges, because that's what we learn from. You want to ask for challenges. If you feel like life has been really smooth sailing for quite a while and there's no challenge, it's probably a good time to ask the light, hey, throw me a challenge. I'm ready to grow. I want to grow. I want to expand some more. Let me see what I can do to expand. Let me work for it, because it's good to earn those challenges as well. It doesn't mean you have to be doing that every second of the day, but it's doing it with a willingness and a spirit of gratitude as you're in the present moment where you have your power, activating those lower chakras. Back in 2016, I was working on a patient and I saw the chakras around the feet and the chakras around the knees open. And it wasn't something that I'd heard anybody really talk about, but I always had this sense. I always felt like the chakras didn't stop right at the root, right at the hip area. It never made sense to me. But I've been practicing Reiki since 1997. And it was 2016 when I was looking at the energy field on the patient. I suddenly saw those open up, and it took about 2 years for the universe to really bring in all the information and teach me what the symbols are for those and what the sounds are and the essential oils and the colors and what they're connected to and all the different aspects that we learn about the other chakras. They finally came in. The symbol for the knee chakra was the last one that finally came in. But when you tap into the energy of, so the solar plexus is really your main central chakra. And it makes sense that way, because when you think of the sun is the center of our solar system. Your solar plexus is your solar sun center. It's the center of you. It's the center of your mind and your emotions. It's where all of that comes and finds balance within itself. So you have the 4 upper chakras and then the 4 lower chakras. Sacral is creativity. The root chakra at your hips is your connection to the earth and this planet and physicality. And the chakra at the knees is a layer of universal protection. So it brings in a layer of the angels. It brings in whatever name you want to call them by, deities that help to bring protection. Some people like the term angel, some like entity or something else. So on the other side, they don't get caught up on words. I think people often get way too caught up on words, which is the whole divisiveness between religion. They're really all the same when it comes down to it, but words get in the way. So that's the universal protection. So if you feel like you need some protection, you feel like you're alone and you just need some extra help on your side, tap into that. Think of a tiger's eye color like gold, bronze, black, brown, swimming in an infinity sign around the knees that wraps over one and under the other infinitely, protecting you. And then the layer around the feet, the chakra at the feet is the cosmic origin chakra. So just as
Wow.
right? And it makes sense. So the hips connect you to the earth. The feet connect you beyond that, beyond time and space, out to the infinite, out to the origin, because we were all beings long before we came onto this planet. And it connects you to that origin energy. It's very powerful for manifesting on a tangible, physical way.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing, and thank you for sharing that. It's the first time I learned about it, and amazing that it's amazing how you started studying Reiki at 1997. That's
Mhm.
like more than 20 years now.
Yeah, 20, I think, yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, yeah, 20, what is that?
Wow, that's really awesome because I
24.
think one of the things that has really shifted in me when I started taking classes about consciousness, energy, and metaphysics, you know that there's this layer of you
Mhm.
that you get to tap into, that you really see that everything was actually coming from within you, and how
Mhm.
you're actually interconnected with other things, and the plants, the animals, and the people. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm preparing for a convention to for people to have that balanced perspective about people, planet, and profit. And we know that in order for our goals to be sustainable, especially if you're a business owner, is for you to, one, for businesses, they're very profit oriented, which is okay because a lot of teachers actually pass on the information that it's really what the business is for, to make profit. But even for other uh, business owners like Richard Branson, for example, I'm reading about him in this book. My teacher had an opportunity to interview him and the rest of the business owners. And we were saying, a business is just actually a group of people working towards something they're passionate about, and they're just finding a way to sustain the operations cost of whatever it is that they're passionate about doing. And Angelica, we have the privilege, both of us, to actually be in that time and space where we get to do what we love to do. And I say it's a privilege because it's something that's not easily understood by a lot of people. So people go through a lot of unnecessary limitation, because what energy healing does for you is to open up your awareness to the multitude of possibilities available to you, and really be able to balance what you can do from the lower chakras that you were talking about, you taking physical action, and you as well being able to understand and process it for yourself through the power of your intuitive senses, which you talked about in the third eye point. So what I'm really wanting to get across is that whole body experience, that elevated awareness. Because we know that even if someone doesn't agree with us, it's just that they're aware about something, and they totally oppose you because that's their experience, that's their awareness that caused the experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and sorry, I'm talking a lot because I'm also excited, especially you talked about uh, learning Reiki in 1997. It's 2021. There was no pandemic back then. So, what was your mindset like many decades ago, and how have you shifted now? I'm sure there was a big shift in consciousness with that time that was that has passed already. Please share how you were before, how you are now. What has changed in your life?
Yeah, yeah, we're all always growing. I feel like we're all always growing. We're all changing all the time. And people have their, I also want to touch a little on one of the things that you said, because everybody has their certain life path. And for some, metaphysics is it. And for others, they wanted to be here in this life to choose things that are really hard. And so as much as we love them and we want to show them, look, this will fix it, this will make it better, that might not be what's right for them. That might not be the path that they've chosen. Everybody, no matter who they are, has something they're teaching and something that they're learning in this life. And so it's not up to us necessarily to always decipher what that is. I know for myself, I've been interested in things like this since I was a baby. I had my first psychic dreams when I was 2. I don't remember them, but my mother told me about them, and that kind of continued for a long time. The When I was 16, so after I graduated junior high, or no, so I must have been like 12, 14. I graduated junior high at 8th grade, and I decided I didn't want to waste 4 years in high school. It just felt like a long time. I didn't need it. So I taught myself high school in a year and a half at home, and then tested immediately into college, started college full time at 16, and was really delving a lot into psychology at that point. Always had a strong interest with magic and with metaphysics, and it explored a lot of that in my preteen years. I remember doing things that were very magic based. I'm not even sure where it came from. It certainly didn't come from my family, but it's just something, it was always in me. It was always driving me. I always knew my purpose on this planet was to help other people to see the light in themselves and to know the love that is in themselves. Like, I don't even know how old I was. I was very young. I always felt that strong mission. I remember writing poetry about that when I was in my early teens. And I went through all my normal teen struggles and all of that stuff in a really big way as well. But I was at that point really questing for that love that I wanted everyone to feel. I was questing and trying to figure out where it was and trying to understand it and to grasp it, to pull it into myself. And then so I was 18 when I took Reiki. I wanted to actually went into a massage school, and I didn't know at that point why I had to wait until I was 18. I guess now I understand it as an adult looking back. But when I was in massage school, they had a very robust energy program there. And so I took Reiki and 100 hours of trauma touch therapy and some chakra work classes and a lot of different things there. And that just was me. I knew that's what I was doing, and that's what I wanted, and that's what I wanted to share with the world. And that was all part of this mission that I've always felt this strong drive pushing me forward. And there have been parts in my life where I do get upset with the universe, and I'll argue with the universe and say, I don't think so. That's not really what I want. I'm kind of done with this for right now. And the universe always wins. The universe always kind of guides me back and says, no, look, this is what you're supposed to be doing. We had a big experience of that a few years ago when I decided to open Earth and Sky Center. When we moved from Arizona to Michigan, I wasn't sure if I really wanted people to know about this part of my life. I was ready just to have a change. About every 10 years, I seem to reinvent myself in some way. But this is the one core thing that is always a big part of me, that quest to really share and express and grow the light and the love within whoever wants it in the world. And so when we came here, I started instead volunteering pretty much full time on behalf of animals and animal nonprofits, and started my foundation, Alley Cat Angels of America, and really just threw myself fully into that. And a couple of years after we were here, I was at a networking event on behalf of the animals, and there was a woman who was a psychic there that looked at me and she said, why are you not doing what the universe said you're supposed to be doing? You're supposed to be doing your readings. You're supposed to be, what else are you supposed to be doing? And I said, I'm a healer. I know that's what I'm probably supposed to do, but I don't want to. And it was just kind of another one of those knocks that the universe gave me saying, remember your path. Yes, these other things are great. Helping animals is great. Doing things like that is great, but you're here to raise that light and that awareness within people so they can see that within themselves, to kind of help be that showing them where their path is so they can find it in themselves and unlock it, and so that we can create and let people come back to this. There's a great opening of consciousness that's going around the globe. And one that we are seeing different aspects of that. So in the 60s and the 70s, there was a big movement of that with all of the love that was going on and everybody, the hippie movement and everything. And so that consciousness that people raised in that era, and there was a little bit of that happened before, but really strong in the 60s and 70s. Because of that consciousness that all of those amazing people raised, it raised the vibration of our planet. It raised the vibration and collective consciousness of people that are here so that it could come to new levels. Because of that, and a lot of other light workers and work that's been done, Holy Fire Reiki was able to come to planet. And when that came to planet, it feels like that changed the face of a lot of things. And I remember when I first, Reiki was telling me that I needed to take a Holy Fire class. And I tend to be a little skeptical, even though I'm very much into metaphysics and this is my life and my world. I still have this like a little bit of skeptical nature myself. So I was asking myself, was like, well, or asking the universe, but universe, I love the Reiki that I've had. I've done Reiki for so long. Why do I need another type of Reiki? And what is holy fire? Are you sure it's not just something that some like man decided to invent and call it his own thing? And Reiki was like, yes, I'm sure. You need to take it. I was like, okay. And so I signed up for the
That's
class.
awesome.
Reiki always wins, but it doesn't stop me from arguing on occasion. It's human nature.
Yeah, it's true. And I like that you brought it up because I think that's how we make decisions. You know, you go through that phase where you're actually making sense of it before you actually take action. And
Yeah.
anyway, Dr. Rogusman is actually watching us all the way from the Philippines too.
Ah,
So one of the things that I want to expand on what you said is that being able to take uh, instructions or messages from the universe through people, because I think for me, Angelica, one of the most powerful ways I believe prayer responds to us, especially if you're claiming something from the universe, is that the universe also directs you through the conversations that you have with people.
mm-hmm.
And because of those conversations with people, then those people are also in that space where they're able to actually, just share from uh, that space of the divine. And I know a lot of people are still trying to believe whether or not they get messages uh, from the universe through people, events, and circumstances. Somebody asked me that, but I really believe that there are some people, they can shine the light on what needs to be uh, magnified in our lives, because maybe we're thinking about it but we're not actually taking action. Please expand more about it, because in living life, it's so important to get messages from the universe, especially the one that expands the heart,
Mm-hmm.
that space of expansion of joy and willingness to just allow for things to unfold in life magically. Please go
Yes,
ahead.
yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I sometimes feel like I need to get knocked over the head by a two by four from the universe. So my husband laughs at me about it because he's like, you hear it, that you know what you need to do. But sometimes I just want these bigger signs. And a big part of the conversations with the universe begins with an aspect of trust and being able to just trust the answers within. I think sometimes it can come from self doubt when people aren't sure, well, is that really what I'm hearing? Is that coming from the universe? Or is that just me? Or what if this or that? And you just have to take that leap of faith and you just have to do it. And then the results will show themselves. And then as you see those results, take note of that and really remember that and bring it in. And so the next time you're questioning it, you can look back and you get this track record of, oh, yeah, no, when I listened, when I had that little voice that told me in my head, this happened or that happened. For myself, with when I first took Holy Fire Reiki, it was I had well, I was in the car and I was driving down to the classes. I stayed at a hotel down there, and I was on my way, and I heard this voice in my head that said, "Don't worry about the fire alarm." I was like, that's weird, but okay, I won't worry about the fire alarm. I'm staying at a hotel. And then when I was in the hotel, I kept waiting for the fire alarm to go off before I got ready for bed because I thought it'd be a little bit nicer if I waited for it until, I went into bed. And so I got later and later, and the class was early in the morning. So finally I got into bed. I no more got into bed. The fire alarm goes off in the hotel, and it went off for like a good 5 minutes. Normally they turn them off before too long. They figure out where it's coming from. And when I asked at the desk in the morning, I said, do you know where that fire, what caused that? Or what area was that, in the area around my rooms or what? And they said it was the weirdest thing. Usually there's a code that comes in, they know where it's starting, and they're able to access it and check the situation and then turn it off. And they said they couldn't figure out at all where it was coming from. They couldn't shut it off. There was nothing that they could really do. And it wasn't until I was sitting in the class, and we were in the middle of class, so it was when all of a sudden I heard Reiki tell me, this is holy fire. And I just started laughing. And I remember everybody looked at me. I was like, I'm sorry, I know we're in class. It was just kind of funny because I heard holy fire say fire alarm, because it's holy fire Reiki, because it's one of those direct signs that I was kind of asking for. I was like, okay.
It's like the burning bush from Moses.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Yes. And it is, it is
Yeah.
far and far. It is so vastly, expansively the most powerful form of Reiki I have ever experienced. I have 8 different lineages, and it is far and above um, the most powerful that I've found, and the most transformative for my students. And I feel like that when in my conversations with Reiki, it said it's because of what all of the people were doing, raising consciousness in the 60s and 70s, and all the light workers sense that the vibration came up high enough on this planet that we could handle this type of Reiki. Because as a collective, our vessels have opened more so we can receive more light. Since then, there have been 4 major upgrades to Holy Fire Reiki, and each of those come because there's this next level shift. We've opened our vessels more, we can receive more light. And so it always meets each student right where they are. But it just, with listening to the universe, it's really about trusting first, having faith, taking that leap of faith, noticing when you didn't listen, what happened, and noticing when you do listen, what were the results. And then you start just kind of trusting and doing it, and then you'll really notice those signs more.
Thank you for sharing those, Angelica. It's such a beautiful thing. And, I'm curious about what you're saying, because we know that there's a particular level of thinking. Even if you're into metaphysics and consciousness for a really long time, there's always an aspect that opens up a layer of yourself
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
is yet to be unlocked when you go through this experience. Especially, I always think of life as a way to prepare for something better, always preparing for something better. Because if you're not constantly preparing for something better, then you're constantly attracting something that will actually limit you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, yeah,
And how
and
boring would it be if we were already fully enlightened and, like, there was no more growth? That would be not fun.
yeah, and at the same time, I'm happy that your husband is also supportive of you. And because we know in relationships that energy exchange between couples is really a lot faster done. So it's so important to share space with someone who actually resonates with your values and the direction where you want to go. Because most often than not, if you're not growing in the same direction,
You're
then
growing.
it becomes very difficult to make it work. Especially, Angelica, I don't know if you ever felt this, but there came a point in my life where I would attend classes because I also wanted to elevate the quality of conversations I was having with the people around me. It's
Yeah.
just so different when you're talking to friends who are into metaphysics, or they just look at their life with a spiritual perspective, compared to thinking that life is happening to them instead of happening through them. And it makes a very big difference. uh,
Mhm.
Please explain more about it, because your experience will definitely sum it up.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It's so amazing when you realize, when you really recognize that you are that co-creator in life, or you're really the creator or the creatress of your life. Because I feel like we're all gods and goddesses. It's within us, because we all come from the source energy, the spark that ignites our soul, that and like empowers the spirit that's within our bodies, is that light of the divine, and whatever name you want to call it. It's that light of the divine. It's that light of unconditional love. It's the fuel that starts all of creation. And so, how can we not be the creators and the creatresses in our life when you recognize that that's who we are. That's what we go back to when we go back to the other side. And that's who we are. So, of course, we're the creators and the creatresses within our lives. And you can't help but see those results when you start to really shift that mindset and open and see it. And Reiki just seems like the best path that I've seen to really help people to come into that, to discover it, to find it, to know it, to see it, fully believe it within themselves, because the results are so strong. Exactly, Dr. Guzman, we come from source energy. It's what we are. And I see it as this amazing, radiant, shimmering, rainbow colored light that is infinite and expansive and all full of unconditional love. And we come down here on this planet and we want to experience things in a different way. And we set up challenges so that we can grow while we're here, so that we can experience things, because we don't just want to drift in bliss forever, because there's no growth in that. And so, but then we get to this planet and it feels like it's so heavy, and you forget that you set up the challenges, and you forget that you chose the parents and the family that you were going to be born into, and you forget that you wanted to have these hurdles. So it feels like life is just done to you, and you just get more tired and more frustrated, and you see the things that just aren't looking the way you want them to look. And so, but something then ignites that spark, because something, whether it might even just be watching this video, who knows, for someone, but it's something in your life, something in your path ignites that spark that says, there's something more than just this. There's something more. I deserve to have more. I'm ready to learn more. I'm ready to grow more. It might be Reiki, or it might be something else, but something inspires you. And that too is something that you set up for yourself when you were on the other side, kind of figuring out, what do you want to have this life look for? Like, what do you want for some parameters? If you fall really far off your path, what's going to help bring you back so that you can then come back into alignment to do whatever it was you came here to do, and to experience and to grow through whatever it was that you came here to do. And when you recognize, and I just feel like Reiki is such a powerful way to fully within yourself experience firsthand what that source energy is like, and just to see the results of it amazingly within your life. And eventually you start recognizing that you just think something and you start seeing it happen. With my husband, it was kind of funny. So I had decided at that point, right before I met him, I said, I'm done. I'm definitely done with men. I don't want any relationships. And so I wrote a 3-page list to the universe. And I said, if you want me to be with somebody, they're going to meet all of these requirements. And I felt pretty safe that was not going to happen, because it was a very detailed list that I was not putting out as a wish list, because I didn't want it to happen. And 3 days later, 3 months later, gosh, it's been so long now, like 3 days or 3 months or something later, I met him, and it was such a surprise. I had been working at, there's a lot of threes in this, but I had been working as a metaphysician, and I was supplementing because I was just starting out as doing temp work, and I got called into work at a college bookstore, and I got called back for my last day 3 different times. And on the third last day, which actually was the last day, he came into the bookstore and we started talking about angels and psychics and different things. And
Wow.
yeah. And it was actually his friend that was with him. I saw him in the bookstore, and then I went outside for a break, and his friend came up with him and said, "Are you psychic?" And I think I'd completed one of his sentences or something, which I sometimes do. And he's like, "Are you psychic?" I said, "Oh yeah, I am." And JJ, my husband, went, "Wait, what? You're totally full of crap." He's like, "Oh wait, you're not." He found out over time. He always thought it would be. He said, as a child, he thought it would be so amazing to see real magic in the world, and he never thought he would see real magic. And then he started seeing things that I was doing, and it's like, anybody can do this when you learn the properties and you recognize the connection with the oneness source. that we all have, that we all are. So yeah, I think that would be one of the biggest takeaways. I think that I would want to give people, the main one being, know that you're loved. Know that whoever you are, whatever you've done, it doesn't matter. You're loved. You're source energy. And then the second part of that is know that you're creator energy, that you are one with that source energy. And when you pull that in, when you listen to that voice, it may sound really quiet at first. The more you listen to it and act on it, the louder it gets. And the more you focus on gratitude, the more you're going to see yourself creating the life that you want to live.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing those, Angelica. And I really had a fantastic time talking to you. So,
Thank you.
you mentioned a lot today, but in terms of taking action and putting it into practice, what's that one perspective that you want to leave with me and the rest of our viewers?
Yeah. So I think of Reiki as prayer put into action. Often I'll refer to it as that. It's because it's something that you're doing. You're calling upon that creator energy. You're calling upon that unconditional, amazing, limitless source of love, the limitless source of creation, the origin of everything energy. And you're calling that in, and if you're doing it right, in my mind, you're keeping your intent out of it. So you're just kind of calling it in, and you can say kind of what you're hoping for, but I would say you should always like ask Reiki to, because Reiki knows the whole situation and sees the things that you don't see. So when you put that Reiki, that prayer put into action, you're calling it in, you're asking for it from the universe, you're knowing fully with certainty within yourself that whatever is best is actually going to happen, and you start looking for the results. So it's also important when you call it in, put that prayer into action, that you observe too, because you want to see whatever happens. You don't want to call in an opportunity and then miss it because you're thinking about that. So keep your eyes open when you call it in and just watch for those miracles to occur, because they will.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And where can they find you in case they want to get in touch? What's the website?
Thank you so much. So Earth and Sky Center, you can go to youtube.com/Earth and Sky Center or facebook.com/Earth and Sky Center. We're working on getting the website up. It's kind of been a little slow going. I've got all the wording for it, but we have a lot that we do on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. I put out videos every Sunday morning. I teach worldwide online as well. With the last version of Holy Fire Reiki, it now enables us to teach online. And so I can't teach other lineages online, but Holy Fire 3 I can teach online. So it really opens it up to everybody around the world. It's amazing. So if you are wanting a class for just you and like people that you can contact me for that as well. Or you can check out our schedule of classes, which we put up on our Facebook page soon. Hopefully we'll have that on our website by the end of the year, or check out our YouTube videos. On the Life Talk videos on YouTube, we do a wide range of topics. Sometimes it's magical, sometimes it's mundane, all centered and geared around revealing that light within yourself, asking the questions within yourself so you discover your own answers within yourself with a little guidance to help you get there.
Thank you for sharing those, Angelica. I had a great time, and I trust that more people will keep in touch with you. I learned so much. So I trust that I'll have you again for another show with, other Reiki practitioners, and we can just talk about our own experiences. So
Would
thank you so
love it.
much for
Thank
guesting on the
you.
show.
Thank you
Satnam.
so much. Namaste.
All right. So thank you everyone for tuning in. It's always a lovely time for me when we talk about Reiki because it's the first certification I got as an energy healing practitioner. And one thing that I really love about what Angelica said is that, this gratitude thing, it will really shift the way our mind works. I know gratitude is something that a lot of teachers talk about, but I want to put emphasis on it because I think it's the only way you can actually maintain being collected no matter what's happening to you. If you're in a space where it's not very good, then you can use that power of gratitude to lift you up. And if you're already in a very good space, you can use that power of gratitude to take action and maybe share your blessings to others. So, mabuhay everyone. Thank you again for tuning in and watch me and Vincent Banks on Friday for another episode of Perspective. Remember, put things in perspective because your perspective shapes your reality. Satnam, everyone, and have fun.